All right, welcome to the Space Luchador podcast. I'm your host, the Space Luchador, and today I got a guest for you. Here's a guy that I guess you can say I found finally that actually gets it. So I figured I'd bring him on. Let me introduce him real quick, Mr. Justin Adams, and we're gonna go ahead and do a little /interview/ co-host type thing, a little back and forth. Hopefully we get a little bit of clarification to everything that I say. Maybe if you hear it from someone else or a different take, you can see that what I'm saying is truth. So there you go. Go ahead and start it in just a little bit. All right, so I got Mr. Justin. Go ahead and you can jump in at any moment.
Yeah, man. What up, Space? Just a quick introduction. My name is Justin Adams. I'm a sex, dating, and relationship coach, and my program is called the Alpha Evolution. We're really show guys the basics and the fundamentals of being a man. And really, it starts with breaking down the beliefs about themselves and belief about the game, and then showing them how they need to be based on how they want to be. So it's not like me telling them this is how you're supposed to be. Like I help them figure it out for themselves, and then after that, I teach them some game, real technical stuff, like how to deal with text messaging, how to deal with talking with women, how to be in the bedroom, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, usually guys want to come for that fun stuff first, and that's kind of how I reel them in. This whole alpha nonsense, which I really don't believe in. That's just marketing,
yes,
buzzwords.
Yes,
and
yes.
And because you and I both know there's no alpha this, alpha beta that. There's just men.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Guys, there's guys and men.
Yeah, there's guys and there's men.
Yes, yes, and that's the first step. I always say, but they like to hear the alpha, supreme, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just you, and it's funny because I get called out all the time, by both men and women, criticism, oh great, here's one of those guys who's all about alpha, this, that.
A guru. And
it's funny because they'll be like, oh, anyone who has alpha this or whatever just isn't the real deal.
Yes.
And I would agree, but I never call myself that. I don't even believe in the paradigm. But I just know that there's guys who do, and they're the ones that need it.
Yes.
So
I need to hear that first.
Catching their attention.
I get the mask thing. Some guy hit me up. He's like, "How dare you talk about being a man if you hide behind a mask?" I'm like, you don't. I'm a masked wrestler. That's why I have a mask. I'm the Space Luchador. That's what I am. It's not. I'm not hiding behind it. But they don't get the concept though.
Yeah. And what they don't realize is that they're the ones who are actually hiding behind the mask.
Yes, exactly. The big tough guy, alpha mask.
Oh, dude, sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's the blue pill. And they're like, well, really, a man should be a shining, hero, right? And he thinks that that's the real man,
The white knight.
Right, and so a lot of these dudes are wearing masks, layers of them, that they don't even realize that they're wearing.
Oh yeah, the tough guy. It's the tough guy. I'm the big bad alpha dude.
Well, yeah. There's the tough guy, big bad alpha dude. There's the white knight, blue pill hero, so to speak.
Yes.
There's the simp. There's the nice guy. All these are all just masks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I was talking about. When a guy starts on my program, the first thing we do is start peeling off the layers of these things that they have about themselves.
That's hard.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it is difficult. That's the hardest part. But you got to start with the hard stuff first.
Yeah, I actually, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because it seems like you already have a program. Yeah. I seem to not have, I have the program, but people don't seem to believe me. I think it's the mask now, because some people tell me that they don't take me seriously because of that. And I'm not likable, you know. I think that yeah, also the way I speak, I'm just straight up raw. No censorship. I hate censorship. I hate politically correct, all of that stuff. And so I think it's hard for me to start, but I mean, you already started. So I think a guy that comes to you already has singled you out as the guy. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that you already have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get the desperate guy that's willing to go outside the box to the extreme to find me. That's where I'm at right now.
And it just, again, it comes down to marketing. I know guys in like different areas, not necessarily in the manosphere, but in different genres of life, who do not show their face.
Yeah.
And they do, like I know this guy, he's a writer. He writes comic books, and he's into just like fashion and motorcycles and things like that. And no one's ever seen his face. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the dude is huge in that world. In like the motorcycle and fashion world, he is massive. No one's ever seen his face. He always wears this like crazy like carbon fiber sort of covering on his face.
Okay.
And open face helmet and sunglasses. There's this other guy that I'm cool with. His name's Black Spider Guy Advice. Like that's what he goes by.
That's a good name. Yeah, Black Spider's Place.
And he's like really into Spider-Man. Like it's like his personal hero, and he wears like a black mask and like these like LED Spider-Man glasses. And I think there's some power to that. A great example would be Banksy, right? The artist.
Banksy?
Yeah, he's a world famous graffiti artist. And he does work like it's all a lot of social commentary artwork. Okay. And now he's world famous, does shows all over the world, and people like his work so much that if he does a piece of graffiti, people will try to tear down the section of wall that his stuff is on and like run off with it because it's worth so much. But no one's ever seen what he looks like to this day, and he's been doing work for forever. And so with these guys, it's almost even more powerful because it's not about them, right? It's like it's about the message.
Yes.
And so it becomes even like less ego driven. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I could have taken it that way personally, and I thought about it, but I knew that the easy way is that people respond to faces.
Yes. Yes. And like you said, all the what did you say about the social media, all that stuff? You actually got me into Instagram because I'm a one-man team. I don't have none of that stuff, let alone know how to use it. So that's why I don't post much. But yeah, like you said. But the difference between me, I just want to throw out there that I thought it was going to be a good idea that I'm actually a professional wrestler. This is my actual mask. I do wrestle. The only thing is that I got hurt, but I'm the real deal, But again, it's hard to get that. It's either that or the message, like you said. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a matter of marketing. You know what I mean? And just flooding it with that kind of marketing, and then that becomes your image, and people will just learn to accept it. It's like, oh, that's what space is. That's what he's all about.
It's picking up. Actually, it's picking up. But to get you to that, I actually bash heads with the manosphere and the red pillars and they don't like me because it seems like I'm defending the women. So they don't like me there, and I go into rough, I'm like, you're wrong, and I have the truth and this and that, but I haven't showed it. So so what do you think about red pill?
Well, they will get that way. See, my mentor, he always says game recognizes game, right?
Yes.
So each man has his own game. Right, and game is just To quote a friend of mine, Mr. Locario, he says, game is simply just the strategies you use to get what you want out of life.
Tactics, yes.
Right? That's all it is. That's all a game is. And if everyone has game, it's just a matter of you have good game or bad game.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And so, and so it's like, so guys who know this truth, they might not even agree with what you're doing, but if there's conviction there and you're standing solid on your square, they're not going to criticize it. It'll recognize it. Game recognizes game.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, correct.
And so the real ones, right? And it's usually the OGs, they won't bother criticizing you.
Yeah, they won't even engage.
No.
Yes.
No, they'll just be like, all right, that's his game. If he's happy doing what he's doing, if he's getting what he wants out of life, hats off. You know what I mean? I do it different, but who cares?
It works.
And it's the guys who are stuck in, see, that's the thing, like with Red Pill, it's become very formula based, right? Mm-hmm. It's very logic and reason and structure, and it makes them think that there's like an answer, that there's a solution, and there's that there's a formula to this, and and there really isn't, and a lot of the criticism always comes from beneath you.
I actually believe that there is, but the thing about Red Pill is, I always say it's the beginning, just like the Matrix. That's why I use the Matrix, because that's where it came from, right? The analogy. It's when Neo took the Red Pill, he actually had just woken up. That's all it is. Yeah. It doesn't mean you know it or understand what the Matrix is, like Morpheus said.
And from that point, he had to learn more of what to do.
Yes.
To make it, and that's him learning game.
Yes, exactly. Morpheus was there telling him, this is it. I just woke you up.
Yep.
It's not like you mastered it. That's why he had to go through the training program. He had to go see the Oracle. That movie, I think, is brilliant when it comes to the message. That's why I try to use it. But YouTube is one. I had the perfect video. I finally put it up, and I got tagged on all sorts of things. And in the end, I couldn't put up anything. So that's why I do just audio for now. I could figure that out. But yeah, that's it. It's basically waking up. That doesn't mean you know everything.
No, not at all.
And the Red Pill
is the very beginning.
Yes.
What I mean that when I say that there's no formula is that the game is there is a formula, but there is many formulas as there are men on the planet.
Yes.
Right. And so, like, there's not like a singular formula. Like, if you follow this, then you're going to be good in life. Or if you follow this, you're going to be good with women. There isn't. And a lot of those guys, because they learn these like basic frameworks that are fairly universal in Red Pill, that makes them think that there's like other universal frameworks when it comes to the game, and there just isn't. Like, you have to sort it out for yourself. Sort it out.
I kind of singled it. I don't want to go against you, but it's I singled it to being a man, which is why my whole thing is the man's point of view and all that. It's like I found out through my own experiment and stuff like that the answer seems to always go back to just being a man. But that's another thing. You got to break it down to what is a man. It's not pulling the trigger. You know what I mean? Like, most guys think it's like, well, I killed. No, that's not how it works. It's like, because who's judging you is the woman, which is the specific problem that all the guys have. It's like, if you're gonna kill to kill, yeah, you might, like we were talking about earlier, right? Before we started, the Jedi and the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
The Sith is willing to kill. Jedi too, right? But not just for power.
Right, for righteous reasons.
There you go. So that's the difference, right? And it's the same with women. It's like they see a killer, and yeah, he's willing to kill, but there's a difference. It's the little fine tweak between, are you willing to kill for her, or are you just a killer? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's like even more basic than that. It's like, if you care or you don't care.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The Sith, they do not care.
Exactly. Right? So there's no
like
value.
A Jedi, they would do it, but it would break part of their heart to have to.
To have to do it, yeah. And it's the last resort type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
which gives them that little moral, right? The little, well, it
Yeah.
was for because I had to defend.
Yeah, the problem that I think a lot of dudes run into is they listen too much to what these women want. And they'll hear a woman say, like, oh, I don't want, like, just for the example, like, this is all metaphor, but like, I don't want you to kill. And the men will hear that and say, okay, I won't do that, instead of doing it based out of their own principles.
Yes.
Right? They'll do it because they hear that's what women are desiring.
Here, I have
and they have that sort of thinking throughout their whole behavior, their mindset, perspective, how they feel about themselves, all that shit, deferring to what they think women want and what they say they want.
Yeah, what the woman said. I have the perfect quote, and I got this from a woman to give her credit. So what she said was this, and this is the perfect, it sums up what we said. It's the difference between a woman wants a man to kill for her, not die for her. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And guys are like trying to die for them.
Right.
And that alone is a big, there's like a duality to it, you know?
Yes. But I mean, I'm looking at it more so in the sense that, like, the man would kill not for her, but just if that's what the situation calls for and that's the last resort. If she happens to be there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like a guy who is in that mindset, he's like, I'm not a killer, but I can if necessary, and that's the only thing, and that's the only thing I have that I can do. Then I'll do it. He's gonna be the same way, whether he's alone in a crowd, next to a woman, next to 5 women. You know what I'm saying? So he's not doing it for a woman.
That's why I said the duality of it.
Yeah.
Because what it really means, because you have to break down what it really means. A woman said it, but what it really means, it means 3 things. It's not straightforward killing. It's the work. You know what I mean? It's like, are you willing to work for me? You know what I mean? Instead of sacrificing yourself for me. There's a difference. You see what I mean? That's the part where I get stuck in my videos and stuff and all my stuff, because I don't know how to express it other than straight up, like I just did right now. You know, like it comes out of ad lib, like to try to explain.
Yeah, the difficult thing I think is guys like understanding it too directly, because a guy would say, like a red pill guy would hear that and go, well, it sounds like you're doing it for women.
Yes.
Therefore, you're simping.
Exactly. That's where they go immediately.
Right. And the thing is that you'd still behave the same way if you were completely alone.
Yes.
You'd still be doing the same exact thing. It just so happens to appeal to some women. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
But it's like, these guys will, like, either they'll be like, oh, that's bullshit, and they don't understand, or if they don't get anything and they're totally blue-pilled, then they're actually doing it for women.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're all, well, I don't want to say all, but most everybody has that at the core. It's like you said, the game is just a matter of how you use, or who's coming up with it. But the end goal is the woman. Like that's the drive, right? Like the thing that you're trying to do. And I think that's the first step to accepting or discovering who you are.
Well, I mean, I take a slightly different approach, and that it's like I'm very like self-focused, so it's all about me. Yes. And perhaps it might be because I already have children, like I already have a lineage, so I completely remove the power of women. Like I remove the power of pussy, I remove the power of their influence over me, and if I want to bring them in, it's because they've met my criteria.
Yeah, you got that out of the way.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. It's like I've been around the block enough times and had enough experiences with women to the point where their sexuality doesn't have any sway over me.
Yeah, master.
Like I could take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've got a date tonight, and like I know, like we've been intimate before. Like I see this woman like maybe like once every 2 months or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we've got just a cool, relaxed sort of understanding and relationship. We're not trying to get with each other in any kind of serious way or whatever, and it's very like light and casual, right? and we're going out tonight for some drinks, and it's like I know that she's like 99% of the chance that she's going to be coming over afterwards, right?
Yes.
And I plan this because I know like the bar is only like 3 blocks away from my apartment, so like but there's no desire there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, oh man, like, oh, I hope I get laid tonight, or like, man, I really want to get laid. Like, I don't have that strong desire. Maybe it's because I'm 44 and I just like, you know, I just don't pedestalize the whole concept. You know what I mean? But I will have fun in flirting and communicating with her such that she gets to the point of desiring me.
Yes, that's the perfect example. What you just described is part of my message. It's the you kind of want it, but you don't want it at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's take it or leave it. You know what I mean? It's like, am I going to turn down a blowjob? No.
No, hell no.
Especially if she knows what she's doing. And this lady definitely knows what she's doing.
And even if she doesn't, give her a shot.
Yeah, like, right, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, in this particular instance, like, she knows what she's doing. So I know that the quality is good, you know? But if it doesn't happen, like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more interested, like what we were talking about before, like when we were DMing, like, I'm more interested in her mind. Yes. Like, to me, like, her getting her box, that's easy, right?
Yes.
But I want to get in her head. I want to find that G spot between her ears, and I want to tickle that, because that's a lot more challenging, right?
Yes.
And you have to use a lot more creativity, and to me, it's a lot more fun. Like,
it is.
It's like the body is so callous. You know what I mean? It's simple. It's clunky. Like, but the mind, it's so intricate, right? I love it.
Yes, and a good thing you brought that up, because that's part of my message that I think everybody forgets. They always forget what she's thinking. You know what I mean? That's when you discover why it works. What everything that you just described works, because what you take it or leave it thing aspect, right? When you look at it through her eyes, it's like, why would she choose you when there's like, countless guys that she can choose from? Why would she choose you?
Because I'm fucking awesome. That's why.
See, yes, exactly. See, and because you don't care at the same time.
Exactly. Like, it really doesn't matter to me if she's like, I'm not interested. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I've got so many other things that I can do.
Yes.
Like, it's really not a big deal. If she's like, after we have cocktails and she's like, I'm going to go home, I'm like, all right, cool. Call her an Uber and send her on her way. Like, don't care.
That's how you mind fuck her right there. You exactly described it. That's basically how it works.
She's going to be wondering, why wasn't this guy trying harder to get me home? And it's not a game that I'm playing. I literally do not care.
Exactly. That's the fine print. That's the little thing that I'm trying to get out. That it's between, like you said, the legitimacy or not legit. There is a difference. There's a big ass difference.
So in your opinion, Space, in your opinion, how do you think a guy, or maybe you can explain just like how you got to that point, like getting to that place of not caring so much?
How did I get to? Well, I'm more cynical in the way of what I learned.
Like not prioritizing the box so much.
It's gonna be a little fucked up, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's literally about if you already have it. You know what I mean? Because that's the first step to mastering it. I'll give you an example. Like you don't care about a box if you have a box already. Does that make sense? Like if you have 2 boxes, maybe 3, for the sake of the example, at some point you are able to be like, oh, well, discard the other boxes, right? Because you have other boxes. And that's basically how it works. And that's why women, then they know it, they pick up, even if you don't have to say it, they pick up on it, or at least believe that you do. And and that's basically the first step before you get to where you're talking about, mastering it, to where you might not have a box, but because you understand what you're doing, right? Like you said, the game, it's gonna work. And it's not a thing about like that's why I always want to break it down to the basic and most raw form, which is do you believe it? Because you can hope, well, this tactic's gonna work, but do you really believe it is the difference.
Right. And once you have it, if you're at this idea of like hope, and if you have this idea of tactic, then that's already like in a losing position, because that it's something outside yourself. Like your hopes are outside your mind.
Yes.
Tactics are things that you bring into your mind. Like, so it's not part of you. Right?
Yes, it's a tactic that you do. It might work, might not.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you're in this mindset of hope, if you're in this mindset of tactics, period, then that is something that is not you. Right?
Yes.
It has to become part of you.
Exactly.
And not saying like, oh, this is a tactic, like your hair, like wearing a hat or something.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like I'm not wearing a hat. Like, this is like literally how I feel.
Exactly. Yes, and see, and that's where it comes into the borderline belief. You believe it because it's a fact.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to say like which comes first. You know
exactly.
Like,
that's where
did the belief create the feeling, or did the feeling create the belief? It's really hard to sort out.
Yes, and I think mastering your own mind, like if you can control that, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to master it, control my own belief. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where I'm at.
And it's like, and this is what I like tell the guys that I work with, is that one, like, I have them cut out porn from their life. Okay.
Yeah.
At least for the duration of the training. Okay. And I mean, they can still jerk off if they want. They just can't use porn. Right. I also have them unplug from social media for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Fasting.
And they also have to fast from the news. So no listening to the radio, no watching TV, no CNN, no news, anything, because you have to stop the influences that are coming into your mind and affecting your subconscious, right?
Yes.
And so I had them cut off this stuff. So then there is usually like a withdrawal period. Like, they'll experience symptoms of withdrawal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, you have to just like hold fast, right? It'll pass. And then that's when we start like allowing to think for oneself, because when you have all these influences from the news, from the mainstream media, from social media, from women, from your family, from your religion, from, all sorts of stuff telling you what to think and what to feel and how to act, it's like, even if you don't want to, over time the influence just wins.
Yes.
Right? Like, the house always wins in that sense.
I want to add yourself
from the house.
I want to add yourself to that.
Oh yeah. I know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying. Yes, you're absolutely right. And that's usually like a false self.
Yes, it's yourself, with that little voice that's telling you suck. You're missing out.
And that is that shadow self in there that wants to keep you down.
Yes.
Right? A lot of that is connected to the ego. Like we were talking about before, that wants to stay in like a safe place, even though it sucks.
Yes. Correct. Good thing you brought all that stuff out. I want to throw this out there real quick, because it's correlated to what you said. But I also believe in using your tools, what you have, what you're already built in as a man. When you do what you said, the tactic, the fasting from all that, it actually builds up testosterone, which is the root of all. It's the root of all motivation. Mm-hmm. Testosterone. You see what I mean? And it's not to fuck. It's to change the world. A source of power. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if you're running low, you have to build it up. And that I found that's the way you just described it. It's fasting from everything.
Yeah, fasting from influences.
Yes.
And a lot of times the influence that they think is themselves is not really themselves.
Yeah.
It's because they've spent their whole childhood listening and being formed into someone who suits only the matrix.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
It suits the matrix. It doesn't suit that man.
You have to untrain.
So he has to take time to peel off those layers, and in order to start peeling off, you have to stop the flow. The flow of what's creating those layers. So you got to stop the flow first. Then you can go through the process of removing layers. And to be true, some of those layers can be helpful to you. Right?
Yes.
But you won't know that until you start examining them.
Yes, that's exactly what the thing. It's the mastering your tools. That's what I'm trying to explain there. What you have, right? It's built in amazingly. Like if you don't eat.
Yes. That's the funny part, is that everything you need as a man, you already are.
Exactly. You have it in you. and you're just not looking at it. And that's where I got really invested in all this, when I found out the big picture, because it's bigger than women. Believe it or not.
Yeah, dude. The game, like my mentor has been saying this ever since I've known him, and he says the game has nothing to do with women.
Exactly.
Period.
They're
And
just
it's like, you don't understand that until you actually get there, and you're like, holy shit, it really doesn't.
yes, that's where it blows your mind. There's this word, it's troubled, or like when it fucks you up. What's that thing called that? Where you get like the impact of it is so hard that you get marveled by it. You know, like you discovered a secret that no one sees. It's like the secret hidden power.
Well, the Buddhists would call that enlightenment. It's
Yes.
like you get hit, and you're like, whoa, okay.
Yes.
And it's like that moment when well, there were many moments in the Matrix movie, like when he gets kung fu programmed into his head, and he's like, holy shit, I know kung fu.
Yes, you beat me to it. That's where he was like,
but even more so, there was that pivotal moment when they were fighting in the simulation, right? Him and Morpheus, and he goes, is that air you're breathing? Are you sure?
Yeah, that fucked him up. That's doubt.
And it fucked him up, and he's like, holy shit, this is not air that I'm breathing, right? And so what that does is it brings you back to yourself, but in a way that's true. It's genuine.
Yes.
And you're like, here I am, and the I is a different I than what you thought it was.
It opens up his mind, because he's like, holy shit, it's not air.
Right.
So now you're self-discovering in you.
Yes. And so, like this, and that's kind of like what the red pill does. You know what I'm saying? It's like it says, are you sure that's air you're breathing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the whole time when you blue pill, they're like, yeah, this is fucking air that I'm breathing. Like, look, it's right here, and they show you all the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until you can come to that awakening. But here's the thing: when you're on the path of man, you keep having these awakenings because it goes deeper and deeper and deeper to self-discovery.
That's the rabbit hole.
Yes, and it's just like, and each man has their own like infinite rabbit hole.
Yes.
And you're just going to keep going until you die.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it has that aspect of like, wow, but there's also painful aspects, because you're going to come to realizations that you've been holding on to a belief that you thought was true, that you come to realize is not true.
That you were wrong the whole time.
Exactly. And then but you already know the lessons of like, hey, I just have to accept that, and just move through it. Because now you've done that enough times to realize that's just part of the process of growth.
And that's when you find out that it's a process. It's like a rite of passage, I call it, or the hero's journey.
You take those L's, and you just keep taking them. You just keep taking them, and you realize the L's are inside you.
Yeah, and the big one is when you realize that taking L's is actually it's what you need to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm. And that's almost you become addicted to it. Like you love it. You're like,
yes.
Like there's no fear. Like if you come across someone, it's like, I have no fear. Like if you are like, you come to me, you see something about me, you hear what I'm talking about, and you're like, hey, listen, and you sit me down and you start giving me some serious game. Like, and it hits me in the right way, I'm going to enjoy that.
Yes, because you learn something else.
Like I know, like, even though it can hit my ego, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be like, I can see the truth of it and be able to incorporate that and appreciate the growth.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you're going to use whatever the new person that brought this to you. Now you're going to use it. You add it to your own book. And you're like, oh shit. And that's part of a master. That's the difference. It's like to continue to learn.
Yeah.
And that's when
these guys that are out here, they're still so stuck on their ego leading the carriage. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they can't take it when someone pokes, right?
Oh, they get
stabs, or even shakes their little ego.
They get
you just give it a little shake, and they're like,
Yeah. And they go off. They just start screaming at you, like, and then and you're looking at them like, they don't see that they're doing the exact same thing they're blaming women do. It's that makes sense?
Exactly.
And
we see it on Clubhouse all the time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They don't realize that when they're in the room, like with a bunch of women as well as men, they don't realize that all the pussies in that room are just drying up right now.
Yes. and they all shut up because all the guys gather up like women and start agreeing with each other. And that's not how it works.
No, it's just making their own hen houses.
Yeah, exactly. You know? That's all you hear. Buck, 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 and you're like, what the fuck? For reals, it's like, and women they just shut up.
Yeah, they're like, no, this is. Yeah, and it's not the good shutting up. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I've been in some rooms there where like I'm speaking on the real.
Yes.
And like I hear no pushback. There's no like they're like, yep, all right.
Oh, yeah.
He's speaking the truth. This is actually what turns me on. This is actually what gets me interested. I'm not even gonna say shit.
That's when you know. Yes.
Yeah.
That's when you know when the women just go quiet.
Yep.
And then the guys are the ones that come back at you like, what? It's like, why didn't the women rebuttal?
Right.
Why didn't they say anything?
Yep.
And they don't get it. It's because you got them. That's, this is a messed up thing because one of my friends told me not to use this. But when I started on this path of doing videos and stuff, I wanted to use the analogy of chickens. Like women were chickens. So I want to know from your point of view, what do you think about this? The way I see women, right? And disclaimer out there, it's not to offend anybody, right? But the way I see it, to try to describe what I think they are, it's like a chicken. And they know they're a chicken and they want to be eaten, right? Because that's the purpose of a chicken, right?
Well, to lay eggs.
To lay eggs, but also to be eaten. You see what I mean?
Right. Yes.
So what's happening, and this is what my example is, guys are picking up chickens, right? Laying them on their laps and kind of telling them, so what do you want, chicken? You know what I mean? And the chickens, they're like, buck, 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 buck. And they're like, and you as a guy are like asking the chicken what the chicken needs to be eaten.
Yes. No, I
you know what I mean?
You're saying exactly what my mentor says.
Oh,
but just a different analogy. And he's like, he talks about like the Serengeti a lot.
The lion pride
and lions.
Yes.
And he's like all these. He calls them grass-eating lions. And he's like, these grass-eating lions are out here.
Yes.
And they catch up to the zebra and they're running together. And he's like, these grass-eating lions are asking permission to eat them.
Exactly. I took it kind of to the chicken form, which is fucked
and
up.
It's like, no, the lions, they just sit there.
Yes.
They wait and they pounce. They don't ask permission.
They don't.
And this isn't. And now, don't get this twisted, listeners. I'm not talking about rape or anything like that. It's the mentality of achievement, right? Just going after what you want, and just that piercing forward, like through energy. You know what I mean? The symbol for man is the arrow. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's just that whole embodiment of that energy, and it's like he's like, that's what